Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Today is opener. It's June 15th for this section of the Columbia for sturgeon fishing. It's open for retention, I should say. My brothers, they came out last night and they camped here, and they're fishing about 200 yards upriver from us. There's a bunch of boats, and my wife and I just came this morning, so we figured we move a little away from them. There's about maybe 6 or 7 rods already out over there, because in this stretch you could fish a 2-pole endorsement aiming for sturgeon. So they're over there, and it's just me fishing for sturgeon. So we just come over here to try our luck over here. I'm using my 12-foot ugly stick. I've had this rod for probably close to 12 years. I bought this rod in real combo on Craigslist. It came with a Daiwa sea line. I paid $100 for it, which was one hell of a deal. Landed a lot of fish with this, and my Columbia Premier has a bad eye, so I decided to use this one. However, I'm going to use my Shimano Torium reel and see how it goes. So I'll show you guys how I rig up, and I'm kind of rusty, so I probably won't be chucking it that far out there, but far enough, I guess. So let's show you guys my setup real quick. Alright, so I've learned this method from my uncle from decades ago. This is basic plunking stuff. I just rig it the way you would rig basically any bottom fishing stuff. So a lot of people use sliders. My brother, they use sliders and whatnot, but I don't. I just feel like it's just more crafted by, in my opinion. So it's my Shimano Toriums. This is a T30. I'm using Maxima 30-pound test. We usually run 25-pound, but my brother, we found a pretty stinking good deal on 30-pound test a couple years ago, so it's lasted us till now. Get this hooked up on my rod real quick. There's usually a back plate screw, plate back here where you can screw your reel to your rod, but I always take my rod off after every session just to avoid getting it all beat up and stuff, whatnot. So run the lines through real quick. And my brother said that one of our brother-in-law, they landed an 8-footer this morning, so too big to keep, but that is probably the biggest sturgeon they've seen in this stretch. The biggest one I've seen personally was the one I caught, I think in 2018. It was just shy of 53 inch, so we had to release it, but the retention gap, I think it changed from 53 to 63, from 50 to 63, so I believe that's what it is. Don't quote me on that. Alright, so my hook selection, we're using a size 7 Gamakatsu hooks, I believe, if I remember right. I pre-tie it. This is a 80-pound braid right here. Got a bunch of line from my old weight lines and whatnot. So I'll tie a 80-pound braid to my Gamakatsu hook, barbless, right there, tied to a swivel, tie another piece of 80-pound braid on the other end, and then I'll attach my main line through here. Crap ton of boats, man. They have to be marking fish up here to be fishing all up in here. So I don't use any fancy knots. I know a lot of fishermen have like their knots that they go to. I do the simplest stuff ever. It's always worked for me. I've landed big old fish with this kind of setup, how I rig it and whatnot, so no bother, no reason to change. Wet it a little bit. Grab my scissors. My nose looks jacked up. It's because my allergies have been killing me, and I'm rubbing it raw with freaking tissue, so. Yep. I'll leave about that much hanging, just so that once it tightens up it doesn't slip through. Never had an issue though. So there we go. We have our main line to our hook setup, and then for my weight setup, we are using 8-pound lead. This is my brother makes these, so we never have to buy them. We just buy a bunch of lead from like recycling centers and whatnot, tire shops, and we have a number 8, size 8 mold, so that's what we use. So I tie a 80-pound braid to my weight, because usually when you cast multiple times, I get lazy changing line from my weight, so I just put on a 80-pound braid to the weight itself, so that way it doesn't snap off right here, because usually that's where it'll snap off right here with the mono, because it's gonna rub on here a few times, and with the amount of force they usually snap off after 1 or 2 casts. So little tip there. I mean, there's no right or wrong. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. Then I use cheap 25-pound mono for my weight. And again, I don't make any special knots. Just like to keep everything simple. There. I'll attach it to line right here. Boom. I'll usually cut about foot and a half leader, maybe shorter. I'll shorten this up a little bit. It's kind of long for me personally, but whatever works for you. Then once I have this all rigged up, I'll tie it onto this part right here, part of the swivel, the upper part. So go like that, just twist it over and under, tighten that, boom. That's my setup right there. Super simple. And if you see my sturgeon tackle gear, you'd be like, damn, that guy's like fishing with poverty. But hey, it's always worked for me. It's all I've ever needed. And if you look at my tackle gear for sturgeon, literally all I have is hooks and swivels. That's it. So these out of the way. I will be using pickled squid, sturgeon candy, that's what they call it. You could buy at a local sportsman's, general store. Any cut bait, fresh cut bait will work as well. I prefer cut bait, but I didn't have time to go catch any, so we're just gonna use what we have. I have a lot of luck with this stuff before, and my brother there using cut bait over there, so keep it a little different. This stuff stinks, so I'm gonna keep it off the bed of my truck. All right, sorry if the angle's funny, but there you go. Pickled squid, sturgeon bait. I usually like to use the head part. So this is a whole squid right here. I don't know if the camera's catching it, but I only use half of it. So I'll pull that part out. This part itself is one piece you could use as well. Smells yummy. And then I'll just hook it on here. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hook it straight through. That. Smell it. And then I tie it with cheap 12-pound line. The reason we tie it is because there's no barb on it, so it's just the bait's just gonna slide off with the current. There's no special way to tie this, just basically tie it so that it doesn't fall off. I know there's a special type of line that they sell for this purpose, but I'm cheap. I use what I have when it comes to fishing. It does the trick, it works. The fish can't tell the difference. So, make a few knots here. And then tie it one more time. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys watch like the Hushin channel. They just posted up a new video where they were sturgeon fishing in Idaho, and they were using like full size I think they were pickled smolt or whatever they were using, but you don't need a bait that big, honestly. We like to keep them as small as possible. The fish don't care, they'll eat whatever smells good. If they're in there and they're hungry and they roll up on your bait, it doesn't matter if it's big or small, they're gonna eat it if they want it. So we keep it small, plus with us being from shore, it gives us the well, it allows us to check it out further than with a big old piece of bait that's gonna catch all the air. So boom, all done. That's how it should sit, like that in the water, something like that. Very, very simple. So I'll go rinse my hand real quick, and then we'll check it out there. It's been a while, so might not go as far. got a picture.
On the boat.
Yeah. It's a keeper. They brought it into the boat, so it might be a keeper. Fish on finally all day. It's not very big. Hopefully it's a keeper. Wow. Too small. Yep. Two more. No. Too small. Too small. It felt bigger for a little bit. First fish of the day. Yeah, that like woke me up. I was so like half asleep. Yeah. We the big brothers and sisters. I know. Get this weight off of you. Oh, it's all squid, man. It's all tangled up. Alright, we're not even gonna measure it. It's like what? Low 30s? Mid 30s? Probably would have been a keeper like what, 3 years ago? So I'm gonna let him go. Yeah, hopefully we'll catch a bigger one. Go on. All day for that twitch, man. Been waiting all day and watching that dang tip all day just to watch it bounce like that. These fish, as most of you guys know, their mouth is on the bottom. So when it's bouncing like that, they're basically sucking the bait up into their mouth. Well, usually what I'll do is when I see that reaction, I'll grab my rod and then I'll reel in some slack. And usually as you're reeling in, you could feel the fish still tugging if it's still on the line. And I feel like that's the most consistent way to set the hook, especially when they're just nibbling like that. So that, and you avoid whacking your tip if the fish does let go of the bait. And you set the hook hard. Like I've seen it multiple times where people will just grab the rod out of the rod holder and just set the hook like hell, and usually if the fish drop the bait, then your tip is gonna whack whatever is behind you. So that's why I always reel in the slack a little bit, just so that when I set the hook, I know that the fish is still on there, and usually, I mean, I don't think I've missed a lot of fish when I set the hook that way, so it works for me and I just keep sticking to it. But man, that woke me up for sure. I was like almost like passing out, falling asleep again, but it was right around 6:15ish when that fish hit the bait. So I threw it out there real quick. The squid was still good, so I just retied the weight real quick and threw it out there again. I'm gonna wait about like another 5 minutes or so, and I'm gonna reel it back in, recast, reposition it into a to where I had it before. I cast it out and the current took it a little further down than I want, so I'm gonna reposition it and whatnot. But man, got the adrenaline going. It seemed bigger for sure, but I pumped it a few times and I was like, undersized. So pretty cool still, nonetheless. We didn't get skunk, and at least I got about 45 minutes left before we decided to head out. So I'm gonna wait a few minutes and then recast it out. So just gonna have to be patient again. Well guys, looks like that's gonna be it. I'm gonna pull my line out right now, and it's about roughly 7:30 right now, so we've already got the truck loaded up. I'm gonna pull the line out, and I'm gonna go say bye real quick to my buddies from Seattle, and let my brothers know that we're heading out. So yeah, that's all we have for you guys today. There wasn't too much action, but that's how sturgeon fishing is most of the time. If you do a lot of sturgeon fishing, you know that it's a lot of waiting game and just being patient and persistent. So I'm gonna pull the line in and head on out of here. Thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, we'll try to make it out here again before hunting season starts, I guess. So hopefully we'll be able to catch a keeper or get some more action for you guys with big oversized river monsters and whatnot. So yeah, again, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.